Class 2 Learner License questions for New Zealand. How many logbooks must a driver maintain? 1 logbook. After 5.5 hours of continuous work time, what is the minimum rest time required? 30 minutes. After 5.5 hours of continuous work time, you must take a 30-minute break unless you've reached 13 hours in a day or 70 hours in a work period. Remember, work periods over the week. In which case, you must take 10 hours or 24 hours break, respectively. What is the maximum speed limit for a heavy motor vehicle other than a school bus? 90 kilometers. A vehicle with a gross vehicle mass of more than 3,500 kgs must travel no more than 90 kilometers per hour on the open road. A school bus limit is 80 kilometers per hour. What is the additional width allowable for fasteners used in securing loads? 0 millimeters on each side. Since February 2017, the maximum width is given as 2.55 meters, including any load securing devices. Previously, it was 2.5 meters plus 25 millimeters for load securing devices. Uncovered loose bulk loads are liable to fall from the vehicle if they are higher than 100 meters below the side of the vehicle body. Uncovered loose bulk loads should be loaded no higher than 100 millimeters below the height of the vehicle body. The maximum allowable body or load height is 4.3 meters for a heavy motor vehicle. What additional height is allowed for load securing devices such as tarpaulins and lashings? 0 millimeters. Since February 2017, the maximum height is now 4.3 meters, including load securing devices. Between which 2 points is the forward distance of 2-axle truck measured? Rear axis to the front of the vehicle or its load. The measurement is from the rear axis to the front of the vehicle or its load. So remember, from the rear to the front. Whose responsibility is it to ensure a permit is carried for overweight or over-dimensional loads? The driver. It's you. What weight limits must be included on loading certificate for a heavy motor vehicle? Tar weight in kgs, gross laden weight or gross vehicle mass in kgs, gross combination weight in kgs. If the vehicle has a towing connection, static roll threshold, height and weight. So it's all of them, it's all of the above. The information shown on the loading certificate will include the vehicle's tar weight, the weight of the vehicle without a load in kilograms, gross vehicle mass in kilograms, gross combination mass in kilograms. If the vehicle has a towing connection, seating capacity, if the vehicle is a passenger service vehicle, and static roll threshold, height and weight limits. If the driver is subject to work time requirements, what is the maximum period of work permitted in any cumulative work day? 13 hours. Remember, I said the word day. 13 hours. The maximum cumulative time in any one day is 13 hours, after which you must take at least a 10-hour rest. What does gross weight mean? The gross weight is the combined weight of a vehicle and its load, accessories, and equipment. What is the maximum overall length for a heavy, rigid? Rigid means not moving much. So heavy, rigid vehicle, including its load when not towing a trailer. 12.6 meters. The 12.6 meters does not include collapsible mirrors. So what is the maximum overall length for a heavy, rigid vehicle, including its load when not towing a trailer? 12.6 meters. Anchor points to which lashings, which are the tie downs you can see below, are secured must have a strength of at least the rated strength of the lashings. The anchor points must have at least the same strength as lashings. What is the maximum height from the ground permitted for a vehicle including its load? 4.3 meters. Since February 2017, the maximum height is now 4.3 meters, including load securing devices. From what distance must the rear red light of a heavy goods service vehicle be visible? Note, not an over-dimensioned vehicle. 100 meters. So heavy motor vehicles and vehicles fitted with a flat deck or tray for carrying goods that are parked on the street at night must display a rear-facing red light that is visible for at least 100 meters away and is on the side of the vehicle closest to the center line, which means it's on your driver's side. If it's an over-dimensioned vehicle, i.e. one with a projecting load, then the lights must be visible for at least 200 meters away during the hours of darkness. So remember, if you just got your heavy goods service vehicle, your red light must be shown 100 meters, and if it's got a projecting load, 200 meters. How much weight sideways must load restraint systems be able to withstand? Half the weight of the load. The load restraint system must be able to take at least half the weight of the load to keep it secure. Who is responsible to see that the load is correctly loaded and secure? The driver. The driver is responsible for the safety of the load. That's you. If the driver is subject to work time requirements, what is the maximum period of work time permitted in any cumulative work period? Remember, cumulative goes on over the week. It just keeps going. 70 hours. The maximum cumulative time in any one work period is 70 hours before you must take a break of at least 24 hours. When should you check your load? After driving on uneven ground. You should also check your load after 25 kilometers at each rest stop after that. When you add or remove items, if you've had to brake hard or swerve, if you hear an unusual sound from your load, e.g. flapping from covers or banging like the load is moving in corners, if the truck suddenly feels different under braking, and before unloading to ensure that it won't shift as soon as you release the restraints. A heavy vehicle has a gross vehicle mass exceeding 3,500 kgs. A heavy vehicle has a gross vehicle mass exceeding 3,500 kgs. If a driver is subject to work time requirements, what is the minimum continuous rest time to be taken before a new cumulative work period commences? 24 hours. After a cumulative work period of 70 hours, you must take at least a 24-hour rest period. Providing the manufacturer's tire and axle ratings are not exceeded, what is the maximum weight permitted on a twin-tired axle? 8,200 kgs. Maximum weight permitted on a twin-tired axle, 8,200 kgs. A twin-tired axle is an axle other than an oscillating axle that has a wheel track of 1.3 meters or more and is equipped with 4 or more tires. It should carry no more than 8,200 kgs. Must a driver do a pre-trip safety inspection? Yes, it's for safety reasons. It's not a legal requirement, though you may have to complete some items that are a legal requirement during a pre-trip check, such as affixing dangerous goods signs. On a 2-axle truck, what is the forward distance? The distance between the rear axis to the front of the vehicle or its load. It's the distance between the rear axis and the front of the vehicle and its load. So rear to the front axis. Providing a manufacturer's tire and axle ratings permit it, what is the maximum weight allowed on a single standard tired axle? 6,000 kgs. The maximum weight allowed on a single standard tired axle is 6,000 kgs. What is the maximum distance a vehicle or its load may extend forward from the front edge of the driver's seat in its rearmost position? 3 meters. Failure by the driver to produce an approved logbook when requested by an enforcement officer is an offence. If you are convicted of this offence, you may be disqualified or fined. What is the maximum you can be fined? $2,000. Is a $2,000 fine, and a 35 demerit points will also be applied to your license. What types of vehicle can you drive on a Class 2 license? Select all that will apply. We're going to select them all. A rigid vehicle, including any tractor with a gross laden weight of more than 6,000 kgs but less than 18,000 kgs. Combination vehicle that is not a tractor-trailer combination with a gross cumulative weight of not more than 12,000 kgs. A combination vehicle that is not a tractor, consisting of a rigid vehicle with a gross laden weight of 18,000 kgs or less, towing a light trailer, gross laden weight of 3,500 kgs or less. A rigid vehicle with a gross laden weight of more than 18,000 kgs that has no more than 2 axles. A tractor with a gross laden weight of more than 6,000 kgs but not more than 18,000 kgs if driven at a speed exceeding 30 kilometers per hour. If a driver other than a taxi driver is subject to work time requirements, what is the maximum continuous period of work time allowed before a minimum 30-minute break is required? 5.5 hours. After working 5.5 hours, you must take a break of at least 30 minutes. If a driver other than a taxi driver is subject to work time requirements, what is the maximum continuous period of a work time allowed before a minimum 30-minute break is required? 5.5 hours. We've done this before. After working 5.5 hours, you must take a break of at least 30 minutes. What should you do after driving on an uneven surface? Check your load. Loads may shift or become loose if you drive on uneven surfaces. How often do you have to renew your endorsement to carry dangerous goods? 5 years. You must renew your endorsement every 5 years to carry dangerous goods, which could include flammable liquids, explosives, toxic substances, corrosive substances, and oxidizing agents. You are a driver other than a taxi driver, and your work time starts at 7 a.m. What is the latest time you must take a rest break? 12:30. You can only work 5.5 hours before taking a break, which means you will need to take your break before 12:30 p.m. A load of 15 tons carried on a rigid truck with a headboard is secured by 2 tie-downs. What must the combined strength of the tie-downs be equal to or stronger than? 15 tons, which is the load. The lashings must be able to withstand the load weight. What is the lowest class of license required to drive a rigid vehicle? Remember, rigid's not moving so freely. That has a gross combined weight of 12,000 kgs. Class 2. What is the maximum width permitted for a vehicle and its load either side of the longitudinal center line? 1.275 millimeters. So the maximum width is 1.275 meters either side of the center line, giving an overall maximum width of 2.55 meters, including the load securing devices. This was changed in February 2017 from 2.5 meters plus 25 millimeters for the load securing devices. Every driver of a vehicle for which a logbook is required must retain the logbook. For what period of time after the last entry must the logbook be retained? 12 months. A logbook must be kept for 12 months after the last entry. What is the maximum forward distance for a heavy rigid vehicle without a tow coupling? 9.5 meters. Without a tow coupling, it is 9.5 meters. With a tow coupling, it is 8.5 meters. Which of these aren't goods services? Select all that will apply. We're going to select them all. So, vehicle recovery service, a service carrying goods for personal use that is not operated for more than 7 days in a 12-month period. The carrying in a vehicle under a passenger service license of goods that belong to passengers. Moving animals and mail are classed as goods services, the others aren't. A load of 10 tons carried on a rigid truck, remember, not moving so well, with no headboard, so the truck doesn't have a headboard, is secured by 2 tie-downs. What must the combined strength of the tie-downs be? 20 tons. The lashings must be able to withstand twice the load of the weight. Remember, if there is no headboard on the truck, your lashings must be able to withstand twice the load of the weight. Where must a road user license be displayed when a heavy trailer is being towed? Inside the windscreen on the passenger side, on the front left side of the trailer. So to the left, everybody go to the left, to the left. So the RUC may be displayed inside the windscreen on the passenger side or on the front left side of the trailer. The warrant of fitness and COF go on the driver's side windscreen. So the RUC to the left, and the warrant of fitness and the COF to the right, so to the driver's side. So what information about the vehicle must be included in the driver's logbook? Check any that will apply. So we're going to check these. So registration number, start and finish distance, recorder, readings if subject to the road user's charges. Every logbook entry will have your name and date the logbook page starts on, the registration number of the vehicle, and the start and finish distance, recorder, readings. If the vehicle you're driving is subject to road user charges, the start and finish times and location for all your work time hours, and the start and finish times for all your rest breaks and where you took them. On rigid vehicle, so on a rigid vehicle, one that's not moving so freely, that has 2 axle sets and is steered by the front axle set, where is the front axis? So the center point of the foremost axis. So the front axis is as shown, the center point of the front axis. You see the sign, but you are traveling in a heavy motor vehicle. What is maximum speed you can travel in this area? So it was a 70 kilometer sign. 70 kilometers per hour. You can travel at the stated limit here because you will be not exceeded the absolute limit of 90 kilometers per hour for a heavy motor vehicle. Go the speed limit unless you're at 100 kilometers, and then you must go 90 kilometers because that's your max speed. Where would you get an overweight permit from? The local NZTA office, so New Zealand Transport Authority office. An overweight vehicle load can be used on the road. The driver must obtain an overweight permit which can be carried in the vehicle. So New Zealand Transport Authority. So for a heavy rigid vehicle whose rearmost axle is non-steering axle, the maximum rear overhang permitted, including its load, is the lesser of, is 4 meters or 70% of the wheelbase, whichever is lesser. So if you've got a heavy rigid vehicle whose rearmost axle is non-steering axle, the maximum rear overhang that you can have is 4 meters or 70% of the wheelbase. So just remember here that you're looking at the rearmost axle, not steering, and you're looking at the maximum overhang for it, and it's only 4 meters or 70% of the wheelbase, whichever is lesser. A vehicle has 2 load sharing axles spaced 1.5 meters apart. What kind of axle set is this? It's a tandem axle set. So a tandem axle is 2 axles where the centers are spaced no less than 1 meter and no more than 2 meters apart. So a tandem axle is between 1 and 2 meters apart. Why must a driver do a pre-trip safety inspection? You can check the load is secured. You can check for safety issues. It reduces the risks of receiving a fine or being issued with a non-operation order. If you're a driver or an operator, you can do the walk-around inspection yourself and have the defects fixed before you hit the road. While it's not a legal requirement to do the inspection, it's a legal requirement to ensure your vehicle is safe and safely loaded. For how long after the date of the last entry must a driver retain their logbook? 12 months. A logbook must be kept for 12 months after the last entry. What is the maximum width allowed for the vehicle other than an agricultural vehicle? So an agricultural vehicle is a farming vehicle, including its load. 2.55 meters or 1.2575 meters from the longitudinal center line. The maximum width is 2.55 meters or 1.275 meters each side of the longitudinal center line. This rule was changed in February 2017. What is the tar weight of the vehicle? The vehicle's unladen weight. The tar weight is the vehicle's weight, the weight of the vehicle itself, not including any load, the unladen weight. So the unladen weight means the dry weight of the vehicle, no fluids, no driver, etc. The weight of the vehicle minus the load could include all kinds of other things like straps, chains, personal effects, etc. If you're employed as a driver, within what period of time must you deliver a copy of each completed logbook record to your employer? 14 days. Your employer must receive the record copy within 14 days. Alright, I hope these slides help.